of victory and the agony of defeat.
Great ball around the corner, Petticini. He beats them all. Junior Polar out wide, bumped away from Trindle. Sharks coming through. None of them can hold him.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to an instant reaction edition of the Tip Sheet podcast. Joining me in a moment is my good mate Sixties, who is just absent while he takes a phone call. But I am your host, John, also known as 4020, and here to break down a huge win for the Parramatta Eels. They go over to New Zealand and knock over what was a prospective top four finisher and sort of injecting a bit of chaos into that race for the finals. I think the likes of the Brisbane Broncos and a few other teams are very much happy with the Parramatta Eels right now for 26-22 win over the Bros, over the Wars. A game that was not short on controversy, although I think some of it was certainly engineered by an over-eager commentary team that were certainly riding the Warriors home to a comeback victory. I think that's pretty fair to say. But before we go any further into the show, I'll let Craig settle, and I'll do the sponsor shout-out today. Obviously, a shout-out to our two principal sponsors in Parramatta Leagues Club, home of the Eels, and we'll be there next week as the Eels make a bid to go 3 straight wins on the trot, as well as banking a 10th win on the season, as well as our other partners too in Star Partners Real Estate, Auburn, Narellan and Parramatta. Greg and the crew been there since pretty much day dot when it comes to TCT and the Tip Sheet, so much love to them. And of course, that usual plug, like and subscribe on all the usual platforms, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, etc., etc. You know how it goes. And yeah, let's get into it, ladies and gents. And chat has been pumping, as I can very well imagine, given that the Eels put together another huge win, another high-tier scalp after the Sydney Roosters last week. They've done it against the Warriors in their home finale, Old Boys Day for the Warriors too. And we've seen with the Newcastle Knights in the past how much they can get a team fired up, regardless of their ladder position. And the Eels found a way there to win in spite of some of Peter Goff's finest work, we'll say, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll get to that shortly. But I'm not sure if you're ready to be checked in, mate. But how are you doing?
Mate, yeah, I'm reluctant to say because I don't want to bring a vibe down. I've had a really tough day at the hospital today. I wasn't going to be doing the podcast, but yeah, I thought I'd jump on. It's needed the win, mate. Yeah, I'm reluctant to talk about the officiating.
It could poison the podcast very easily because Peter Goff was...
Yeah. So maybe we just steer.
Let's do a very quick dive onto it. Obviously, the Parramatta Eels did benefit from some missed calls too. I think there was a Joash Papali knock-on in the first half that was missed. There were a couple other calls I'm sure the Warriors be able to hone in on what was against them. But Peter Goff and his ruck interpretations, he has an obsessive-compulsive need to call out a Parramatta Eel marker every single time, regardless of whether they're locked in or not. There was one point where we had the inconclusive challenge on the fifth tackle kick that Roger Tuivasa, I don't think he knocked on. I think it was a pretty reasonable bunker call. But Jermaine Hopgood was locked in at marker from a dead ball restart, and he still called him out. And Hopgood turns around. He turns around and gives him being Goff, just a derisive look of scorn. Like, what do you want from me? And that was the story with the Warriors picking up. If we just go down to the team stats here, it was a 5 penalties to 3 count in their favour and a 7-2 6 again count in their favour. So they got a ton of calls. Obviously, the Eels picked up some clutch calls in terms of the no try at the end, which, again, I don't see what the controversy was about, Craig. The 2 fingers, these 2 fingers here, the middle finger and the ring finger, clearly flexed after touching the ball to the point where they did, like, I'm not trying to be cheeky here, but they did that. And Brandy Alexander and Warren Smith are in commentary trying to make it out like the Warriors were absolutely jobbed there. Like, can you hide your bias just a little bit, boys? Come on. And then the fact that Mitchell Moses was called on to make 2 important challenges. One was for a strip on Jack Williams, which I thought was maybe slightly in Parramatta's favour. But the second one, Peter Goff engineered a phantom penalty, mate. That ball was just lost in the ruck with no one near, like no one within Kui, and he engineered a penalty.
Yeah, John, it was. We said in the podcast preview that there was going to be nothing in the way of six agains for the Eels
We called
in this game.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we literally called it. The one of those two that we got was on the first tackle.
Yes.
And I can't remember when the other one occurred, but it was on the first tackle. I guarantee you there were plenty late in the count.
What about Mitch getting cautioned by Peter Goff after that successful challenge on the goal line? Because Moses was obviously feeling the inequity, I suppose, of the ruck calls, because the Warriors were going to sleep on us in the ruck at times, and we're not getting called. So I don't know. But look, that's the long shot. It was a terrible officiating performance. I am sure from a Warriors scope, a Warriors lens, they'll be looking at that game saying, yeah, we got done here, and here. And that, again, that's a reflection of just how poor Goff was. That the fact that two teams can come out of a game feeling so aggrieved, it's not a sign of a competent official, I don't think. And the Eels bank, I think that's their 10th win on the Goff out of 28 games now, maybe, which is just, it's a record. It's a record. Let's talk about some good stuff because
let's. I really don't want to talk about the officiating anymore, John. It's so. First of all, thank you to everyone who has tuned in live tonight. I know it's when you've got the second game going live, and it's ostensibly a big match that's being played. It's the Storm and the Roosters, is it not? That's,
it is, and the Storm are up 4-0. They just scored Sean Bloor try, so. We'll keep you updated if you're not watching. We'll keep the scoreboard ticking over.
But that's why why I do appreciate people coming and joining us live, because they're making that choice to listen and maybe join in with a bit of conversation with fellow Eels fans about a match that's just over, and maybe not watching the other game that's going live. So we really do appreciate you joining us for this one, John. This was a really, really brave performance from Parramatta. Like, let's push everything else aside. The Eels played without the football tonight, 46% of the ball, and they went long stretches without the ball
because of those six against.
And they got those tries that came against them came on the back of penalties and six agains that really allowed the Warriors to apply some pressure when the Eels were handling what the Warriors were throwing at them fairly well. You couldn't have asked for more from a team that's got nothing to lose, but we didn't play like we had nothing to lose. We took the 2 points for the penalty goal. We played conservative where we needed to. I don't think there was occasions where the pass was recklessly thrown, as measured by a 94% completion rate.
2 weeks in a row they've gone in elite territory with their completions. Yeah. And I said in the pre-game or the preview, which is pre-game, that if we could get over 80% in this game, that it would be a really good benchmark to follow up against the Roosters, and they cleared that by miles. That is a team that is locked in, ready to play some. I know they're not going to be playing finals football, but it is the psychology of a team that is ready to play finals football at the time when the finals are literally around the corner, which is a great thing, and obviously a big kudos to both the playing group and the coaching staff. Yeah,
absolutely. And for once, we threw less passes than the opposition. Like the Warriors
situational
threw
football,
like
wasn't
another 70 extra passes.
We sort of understood that we're going to be in a real arm wrestle care of the conditions, the opposition, and the officiating, and they chose not to open the door by being reckless with the ball in hand. And when they did throw the ball, my goodness, Junior Barlow and Kelma Tuolangi, they found some absolute peaches in terms of key passes.
Yeah, absolutely. But we're looking at what is it? All told, with penalties and six agains, it's a 12-5 count. Yeah. And that really was significant in the flow of the game. And I think it probably just simply goes to make the win that much more meritorious. But let's talk about some moments, John.
Mm-hmm.
The Fox's 200th game.
108-metre baby.
and he celebrates with a 110-metre try.
That was as close to 110 metres you're going to get, wasn't it? It was a foot from the in-goal, essentially, once he'd regathered the ball and turned the bearings around. I was concerned that this was one of those ones that would come back and would have been better served getting tackled because it might have been a two hands to the ball sort of situation. But clearly the ball knocked back and play on for the Eels. And yeah, they were probably. I'm trying to think of who else in the team probably scores that try, even given the field opening up, and he just has the speed still. He's got the legs. Had a really important effort there. Had a really solid game defensively with Sean Russell as well. I know that Williams and Papa Lee had some troubles with Leka Halasima in the second half because he's an absolute wrecking ball. But that centre wing combo, probably their best defensive showing in some time. They were in sync with their jams, had great pressure, forced a couple of turnovers, had some clutch moments, intercepting the ball on the fifth tackle as well between Joash and Sean Russell. So, yeah, I really liked what the Fox and Sean Russell did in that edge. Yeah,
absolutely. And then we were seeing just, as I said, it was an Eels team that played expansive football, but it was controlled tonight. It was really, really controlled. Isaiah Iongi, plenty of the critics have been talking him up this year, and you always worry if they start to talk up one player. Are they talking them up too much?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Syndrome.
Yeah. He was getting gassed up something fierce tonight as well. He was one of the few Eels that really got a lot of love from the commentators, and he delivered. Was an absolute house. The only time he didn't have the ball was that, I say controversial very flippantly because, as I was saying in chat, that the player involved there, Vaimunga, actually admitted post-game that he touched the ball, so that should put a lid on the drama. Not that you'd know with some of the Fox crew. The only time he didn't have the ball was that one time there where Vaimunga dropped the ball or got a fingertip touched the ball. Beyond that, obviously the work of Junior Barlaw. And look, some of the responsibility for that try falls on CNK. Nickel Clockstar had an absolutely diabolical handling of that situation. But we saw Yongi shift down the second gear, wait for support to get there, and then just glide back into fourth or fifth and burst past the Warriors custodian. Fantastic individual try there. Some silky hands from Junior Barlaw. That was such a... you can't defend that offload. And that is the sort of play that we've been screaming for from, not just Gufferson, but, historically from fullbacks at Parramatta, where you've got some phenomenal offloaders in the squad in the various iterations, and Junior obviously chief among them. Get off their hip and look at the opportunities, and he did it. And he went 60 metres and scored. So Iongi was fantastic tonight. It was a great battle between, not directly, but two leading Rookie of the Year candidates in Leka Halasima and Isaiah Iongi. And I don't know if you could split him, honestly, because Leka had a fantastic game for the Warriors, and Iongi, well, we don't win that game without him.
Yeah, how old's Leka Halasima?
19, I think. He is a machine. He is definitely one to watch. And I think, to their credit, I'm pretty certain the Warriors have put him up to lock and key for long term because he is a phenom. 19 years, turning 20 in September, late September, and I'm pretty certain he just re-signed. Let me just check. Re-signed. Yeah, end of 29. So they've done a great job getting him under lock and key for a long time. But I reckon he'll probably get an upgrade before that contract's over.
Well, I mean, we're talking about a great strike player for the Warriors, but let's look at the Eels' edge and the work that was done by both Jack Williams and Kelma Tuolangi. The try, first of all, that Jack Williams scored, we're talking what everyone knows that Jack Williams has, which is great leg speed.
Yeah, and contact.
And he's got that little bit of step to step off his foot. And then he's got the leg speed, which makes it difficult for one-on-one defenders, especially when he's got a bit of momentum up. And then Kelma, we know he's got that great backhander. And that offload, it was so precision when you consider he slid down onto his knees on the ground. And, I mean, it emphasised it in slow motion. But he's there and he's just looking. Where's the support runner coming from? Oh, there he is. Just casually pop it out, precision, and try to Iongi. And, mate, what can you say about the work that's done on the edge? It makes it interesting for next season, because there's plenty of people that want to see the Eels pick up experience or strike
a
players.
strike edge player has been like one of the most demanded or popular ideas floated among the fan base. Certainly, we've spoken about it here on the podcast. I'm not saying that we've been above discussions for a strike edge, but you look at what's there, and you look at the fact that we haven't even got Katonga right now. But in Katonga and Tuolangi, you've got two incredibly high ceiling players who, especially for Kelma, the case is keeping that consistency of performance there week in and week out. And I think in the back half of the year, we've really seen a marked improvement from Kelma in that regard. And he's not perfect. He still has a lapse here and there. But I think even in defence, he's improved massively in that regard. And, yeah, it makes a really interesting conversation, because then you've got the likes of Josiah Funrayutu and Will Latu, and then a couple other prospects on the edges there that are going to be pushing through in the next 18 to 24 months, maybe even faster.
And then, of course, we got the Ibis that's been developed.
Yeah, exactly. Jordan Samrani, who's been a really good prospect on the edges as well. So, I don't know. Like, does that, if there is a strike player out there and that's like what the market has, maybe you still have to go out and sign one. But it does maybe change the equation in terms of recruitment for the Parramatta Eels. It is a very, very interesting thing. Maybe Rolls is going to be more bullish on his edge stocks than we think. And maybe that's going to turn recruitment towards whether it's a middle, whether it's a back, whether it's, I don't know. Maybe he's going to be the best player available in the market. That might be where we're going right now. Maybe something spat out where it's not necessarily the ideal fit, but someone could be there. It's like, well, he is a star. And, yeah, we've got X, Y, Z, but we'll take them.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that's possibly the logic we have to go with. I'd probably like to see a middle forward recruited.
I think you could definitely plump. And I know we've still got some great middles and some exciting middles coming through, and Sam's not there and Luca's not there, and that certainly adds to the conversation. But, yeah, another senior middle with impact would be, I think, a very safe addition to the team. Like, it wouldn't hurt the squad.
No, and you maybe look at it, and perhaps the Eels are targeting 2 years down the track with this, because you've got Junior getting to his advanced years, still playing great football. They've recruited Jack DeBellin with it's a year and an option
and
year.
a club option year, yeah. So
yeah. So you're looking at two senior middles there with Junior and DeBellin, but maybe we should flip back from looking at next year to, again, looking at this game, because there's so much to like from the Eels' performance tonight, especially given that they've travelled over to New Zealand. Let's really put this in perspective. That's 2 big scalps in 6 days.
Yes.
2 teams with plenty to play for. A Roosters team that was on fire and pushing for the top 8. Then a Warriors team that's been up in the top 4 all season, and they've got a home game to consolidate that position in the top 4. Plenty to play for both weeks for the opponents. The Eels looking like the composed team, not a team that's playing wild, flashy football, chance in their arm, but actually playing bright attacking football at a high completion rate and doing significant damage to the prospects of 2 high-profile teams. So,
yeah. Like I said, in the title of the podcast, the Eels introducing a little bit of anarchy into that finals race. Roosters going from being a real premiership dark horse to maybe being bumped out of the 8 after meeting the Parramatta Eels, and the Warriors. Their prospects of a top 4 finish now take a huge blow. And the Brisbane Broncos hot on their heels. The Cronulla Sharks, maybe? The Sharks are there. So the Warriors have got a terrible for and against, only plus 26. And the Broncos plus 148, Sharks plus 67. If both win tonight, they will both jump the Warriors. Tonight.
So, John, just throwing something at chat. First of all, we want them to start thinking about their 3-2-1s, and when we ask
people are already on top of it. I've seen some 3-2-1s in the chat,
and maybe a quick line from everyone about their thoughts on this game, a way they'd sum up this game in one line. So, looking forward to reading some of that, John. Is there anything there so far that you want to raise as a discussion point, or you think it's a valid comment that you think we could discuss from that already?
I'm seeing a bit of love for Jermaine Hopgood, or Jermaine Propgood, as we like to call him these days. And he had a cracking game. If I just pull up my individual player stats here, I think he made 61 tackles and had 2 negative tackles to his name. Let me just double check that. Yeah, two negative tackles, being 1 missed, 1 ineffective. 61 tackles. A huge effort in defence. Huge effort. Also good for nearly 100 metres from 10 carries. You can't ask much more from your starting bookend. And barring one game, which team was it against? It wasn't the South Sydney game, I don't think. He's had one mediocre game since moving the prop. He has been otherwise outstanding. And I don't know psychologically what the difference has been for him between playing lock and playing prop, but he has just found a position for the Jason Ryles brand of football, and it's in the front row. Absolute.
I think it's taken away the pressure of feeling that he had to be that link between the forwards and the backs. Yeah. I think it's simplified his role.
And so when the ball playing comes, it's more natural rather than having to play heads up football, which we heard Mitchell Moses say last week that what Dylan Walker does is essentially playing a second halfback role in the middle, which is an incredibly demanding position. You talk about the time to make decisions and the ability to read a defense, and when, as I praise Dylan Walker for, it's not the passes he makes, it's the passes he doesn't make. It's like a John Westad. It's the passes he rejects that makes Dylan Walker the best, which is true because you see Walker not pulling the trigger on these tough passes. And I think that Hopgood was struggling with that balance. And since going the prop, he's been really, really good.
Yep. Any other comments there, John?
There's some talk about Dave Malloy. We'll get to that in the we'll talk about tonight, but also on the news podcast. But there's been some rumours about South Sydney looking to let him go, and us and the Cowboys being linked. A lot of people really liking the willingness to put the heads down and grind in the context of a very difficult set of circumstances. And I think we certainly talked about that already, but I agree again. The Eels did not look for the shortcut. They did not look for the easy way out tonight. And again, you look at how things line up at this time of year, you look at the sort of football we're playing and the importance of what Penrith and Melbourne do so well. It's timing your run and peaking at the right end of the year. Jason Ryles looks like he's got the boys peaking, which is, we're not going to play finals football, but philosophically is exactly where we want to be as you prepare for next year. The Eels having a system that works with the finals just around the corner. Dave says the best thing for me was starting to see some connection between players, line breaks and tries, etc. Yeah, good call out there, Dave. Obviously still forming a lot of his tenuous connections, especially down that left edge where you've got young Joash working alongside what's been a makeshift edge because of injuries to Katonga and Sean Russell. But, between Jack Williams and then obviously Dylan Brown, and now Sean Russell coming back, they're starting to make a good job of it down there. Part of the second try with Parramatta Eels was Joash linking up with Jack Williams. Obviously Moses and Kelmer really starting to look sharp, looking like what you saw in that preseason, Craig, where you sort of had Kelmer tipped to be an absolute monster, and unfortunately it didn't start that way in the year, but he's gotten there. Moses is just feeding him. There was obviously the money ball that led to the Yongi try where he found Kelmer on a siving outside line, really flat ball, great ball. But he's also just comfortable giving Kelmer early ball now and saying, have at it, mate, just rip in. And you're seeing those connections, Junior and Isaiah. Obviously, Dylan Walker's popping up everywhere. Even just the interchange between the backs. Zach Lomax takes a kick on his knees and just rips it past to Isaiah Yongi in the blink of an eye to get another 5 metres out of the kick return. The team is just starting to be in sync, which is really, really encouraging.
John, let me then jump in here right now, because there's a lot of love for the team in what we're saying. There's a lot of love for the team in the response from our chat room there. But here's the way we show it. Next week's the final game of the year.
Oh, yeah.
The Eels have been building. They're playing their best football of the year at the end of the year. We're not going to play finals football, but everyone's got a chance to get out there and fill the stadium for the last game of the year. Now, last year, there was a really big crowd. I think it was for the game against St. George, right towards the end of the year. And then a lot of Parramatta people turned up, went to Campbelltown for the Spoon Bowl to ensure that the Eels did not finish with the wooden spoon. We're going to be nowhere near the wooden spoon this year, but that's not what needs to be celebrated. You don't celebrate avoiding a wooden spoon. We need to celebrate that this is a team on the rise. And the way we do that is by getting out there in big numbers at the final game of the season next week. They take on the Newcastle Knights. It's a Sunday, is it not, John? From memory, the game next week. I think it's a Sunday afternoon game. So it's an ideal time for people to get to the game and show their support. Look, we play at the best suburban stadium. That's if you want to call Parramatta suburban. It is really a city, but we play at the best suburban stadium in Sydney.
It should be Deb saying that it's also Father's Day. So good shout out to get your old man out there for in a position to go watch football.
It's the 4 o'clock kickoff, isn't it, John?
Let me just double check. I'm pretty certain it is Parramatta Eels. Look, getting Nick Capacity there would be an awesome message sent to Jason Rolls and the boys. 4:05 kickoff. You're right, Craig. It'd be an incredible message to send to the team for what they've done this year. A chance to farewell Dylan Brown as well, who's been a fantastic servant at the Parramatta Eels. And yeah, he's gotten his golden handshake with the Knights, but the way he's handled himself, I think he definitely deserves a lap around CommBank with the fans cheering him on. So I think there's every reason to get out there on Sunday. And I think that anyone
that's in chat will be there next week. Just put down that you'll be there as well, so we can see. We'll hold you to it.
But it's something
it's a binding contract.
It's something that the club should be all over it as well. Like they should be hammering this.
The club is all over it already.
Yeah,
the club is all over it already. So I'm just encouraging people. I'm trying to get in first with this, just to encourage.
On attendance, Brent is asking. I'd ask you this, Craig, because you're part of the supporter group, and I haven't got the sort of insights you have. Do you know if the club's doing the essentially the fan Ironman attendance lap of honour, the 100% attendance?
Yes, they are.
There you
go,
I
Brent. Think people who are 100% attendance have probably been already contacted. So what they can do is if you've been contacted, you respond to that. You have that opportunity to be out on the field for that last game. It's recognition to you, and
if you haven't gotten your email, Rob's saying that the email has been sent out. If you haven't got your email and you are confident you've got 100% attendance, reach out to membership ASAP. Be the first port of call Monday morning to try and get it fixed up.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess, unfortunately, John, I would be aiming for 100%, and I actually am 100%. But we did get 1 week where we managed to find our way into the over the other side in the corporates.
We got to
1 week.
The bourgeois for once.
Yes.
So
it didn't swipe the card coming in, because we had the other ticket to go in that.
My attendance is definitely not 100% this year because I prioritised getting home for the post game a couple of times over being attending in person, which is an unfortunate side effect of having the post game show. But I'll be there for the game 100% on Sunday, and again, encouraging. And not that we're not speaking to the converted in chat, but if you've got a mate, if you've got a family member who's on the fence, try and twist their arms, get him out there. Let's get 28, 29, 30,000 at CommBank to sign off on what has been an unfortunate year not to make the finals, but an incredibly encouraging year. And I don't want to mention green shoots because I think we're past green shoots, Craig. I think they're not blossoming, but they're not far off.
They're showing us what they're working with.
Yeah, exactly. They are actively changing the equation, like we talked about with recruitment. Like I think Riles and O'Neill and the rest of the brains trust there, I think they're going to be far more adaptable and fluid to what the market presents rather than going headhunting for a specific type of player.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that what you're going to see is they I guess, do we dare say that they can be more choosy, more selective, more fussy with who they recruit? I don't want to get too bold with that, but I guess what we should be seeing is other players out there, like rugby league. Word gets around about how things are travelling at different clubs. players know the clubs where there's issues either within the team or between the team and the coach, and whether it's a positive club to go to. And I'd like to think at the moment that a lot of players out there realise that the Eels are on the ascent, and it's not what Dean Ritchie had to say the other week.
Paul Taylor says he's bringing Dean to the football. If you manage to pull that off, Paul, I think a few people in chat might shout you a beer or two at the Leagues Club. If you get Bulldog out there to enjoy a Jason Ryle sign-off game, it would be a great effort.
Yeah, well, look, it would be good to get to the 10 wins for the season. We're sitting on 9 now.
Yeah, 10 it's an arbitrary cutoff, but it is a fantastic figure in the context of the season. Having such a real big struggle early on, having the injury and suspension issues through the midway point of the season, no Mitchell Moses for the lion's share of the season. If you eke out 10 wins, I say eke out, you'll be storming the 10 wins. 3 straight wins to round out the season, and then 4 or 5. Going back past the South Sydney game to North Queensland, 4 or 5? Yeah, North Queensland before that, right? It'd be such a great way to sign off in the year. So a lot of positivity. And look, the team is not perfect. I know some people in chat saying they'd like to see more athleticism in the forward pack. Some people want some more depth or some more options in the back line. I think these are all valid thoughts. I don't think the team is perfect or anywhere near it. But the brand of football that they're playing right now, contrasted with the fact that there's still a lot of room to grow on this team, you know, the fact they're able to ask such serious questions in the Melbourne Storm a couple of weeks ago, then handle both the Roosters and the Warriors. This is the Eels, I think, near their best right now in their current iteration. Maybe not like the Roosters game was probably as close to our best as we've been all year, but they haven't reached their ceiling yet. And the off-season growth is going to be key. And yes, recruitment is going to be a big part of that too. If they can find that extra piece to go from being where they are right now, where they can ask and challenge the good teams to being the team that is going to have to be challenged. I think that's what recruitment will set you apart with.
John, I think what we're seeing at the moment is that the systems and the structures that Jason Ryles wanted to have the Eels play this year are now embedded with this group.
Yeah.
Now, where it goes to next year in terms of how the coaches develop what's already there, not just the players themselves and how they perform, but also what will they bring that will be new as coaches? How will they themselves take the next step in what they impart to the players? What differences will they bring next year? Because if you just keep bringing same old, well, the players tire of that as well. So it'll be interesting to see, as I said, not just how the players develop, but as a team of coaches, how they develop and what they bring that's a little bit different to this year going into next year. And I'm sure we'll see it. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be big. It can be subtle changes. It can be just building on what they've got, tweaking things here and there, trying something new here and there. It promises to be a fascinating pre-season, John. That much I think we can probably be certain of. So any other comments there from chat? We had some yeses that they'll be there.
Yes, we definitely had some people affirming that they will be out there at CommBank, so great to see. And like I said, try and corral or rustle up a family member or a friend or two and make a day of it. Get out there and celebrate.
Spread the word. Everyone just spread the word. Let's fill the stadium.
The blue and gold gospel. Exactly. Josh wants to ask you a question, Craig. Going back to recruitment, he's sort of asking you to zero in on a singular position. And if you could only target one position, what would it be and why? Again, framing against the context of the conversation we just had about guys that have put their hands up and maybe change the equation.
Yeah. Look, I think probably a middle forward, because I think we've done exceptionally well right now, but we've done so with players that have, well, let's face it, you wouldn't have called Hopgood a prop before this season. And he's done a fine job there. Is that his position going forward? Well, maybe it is. maybe we've seen that evolution of the prop into being more of a lightweight, more mobile position. I just think we have to be prepared for the fact that Junior's close to the end of his career, and a key recruit for next year in Jack DeBellin is close to the end of his career.
Yeah, and we we've been pretty upfront. I think the club too has acknowledged that DeBellin is seen as a quality bridge option, but not a long-term fixture. And with Junior, I think there's still plenty of juice in the orange, as it were, but you're going to have to look at a minute restriction as you move forwards, aren't you? You can't lean on Junior for 50 and 60-minute performances consistently as the kilometres continue to go onto the odometer. But you look at his touches tonight and what he did with Yongi, he could absolutely transition into a smaller minute role of still good impact. But that does mean you need someone to step up, don't you? And that, I think, a middle, it is almost always hard to go wrong with signing another quality middle. There are very few teams in the NRL that wouldn't benefit with another plus prop going into the mix. So I think it's a good idea and a good position to have from your point of view for the argument. Beyond that, look, if there's an elite edge, I know we talked about the edge guy stepping up, but if there is a monster edge out there that's available, which there isn't right now, but you never know. Certainly.
Yeah, but John, the question that I had to answer was, if there is one position, you had to only just fill one position.
Yeah, and I think,
what would it be?
I think middle is probably the best shout there. I just think it's you're going to take 4 middles almost minimum in a team, which means it's the position that's got the highest burden of use on, which means that that's probably got the best value to be added by getting another gun middle. So I think that's a pretty good answer from you.
Yep. Now, any other questions?
Peter Z is asking about the new head of performance. We'll go in depth on that on Tuesday because that's obviously a news podcast. But there was a little snippet this week, Craig. I don't know if you saw, but the Eels are either close to or have zeroed in on the Newcastle head of performance, who is set to join Parramatta to replace Blair Mills. So we'll have to do a bit of digging on that one to get some context there. Newcastle not exactly the most successful team on the field, but I'm not really sure how their conditioning stands against other clubs. So if Rolls...
Yeah, what's his background?
Where is Newcastle? I'm trying to find out who he is because I know he's bounced around a few clubs. He was at Cronulla for a long time. And then I think he's been at a few different clubs. Matty J. Daily Thugger saying he will join Parramatta. He's been with Canberra, Cronulla, and the Kiwis, as well as obviously Newcastle as his present or most recent employer. So, maybe we'll have to ask around. He joined the Knights in 22, by the way. So he hasn't been there long term, but been there for a few years. But obviously been around the NRL and certainly knows his way with the league circles, and hopefully it's going to be a good appointment. Michael's giving Josh a bit of love there, saying he keeps getting better at 6. Yeah, I think again, if anything, he pulled back a little bit today, and wasn't as like ADD or like hyper active on the ball. He's been a little bit more measured, a little bit more methodical in his approach. And not to say he can't have explosive moments. He nearly burst through down the left edge at one point, and again was barely ankle tapped to go down. But I think for my opinion, with Josh across the preseason, he's got the explosiveness and he's got the raw speed and athleticism, Craig, to just make a break when the opportunity's there. I think for me, the mantra for him should be, and I think it's an old military mantra, and it's also applicable in sports: slow is smooth and smooth is fast. In the case of playing in the halves, you don't need to do everything at 100% speed. Slow the game down sometimes. Be smooth. Introduce a little bit of indecision in the opposition, and then when you change gears, as we saw for Zaire Yongi's try, or the solo try off the Junior Barlow offload, that's when you become so dangerous. And I think finding that ability to slow the game down and then speed it up will be the key for him, but certainly taking strides this year.
Yeah. John, we're pretty close surely to the 3-2-1s.
Yes.
So how's it looking in the chat?
Chat has been pumping so much that we've gone past the 3-2-1s for the most part. So maybe everyone has to give me the 3-2-1s again. I can see Scott Whitney's 3-2-1, and I think that's it. No, I've got Damien's as well. I've got a few. So let's go back to Scott's. If I can find it and not roll past it, Scott, I'm sorry. I think I've gone past it. So there is Scott. Starts off with the captain, Mitchell Moses 3, Kelmer 2, and Joash 1. And I think we might see a bit of for the first time in a while, might see some points diversity here because so many Eels put their hands up. We've got Paul McMullen saying 3 for the fullback Yongi, 2 for Kelmer, 1 for Jack. Jack the Ripper Williams there. Going up again, let's go find some more. Gus says 3 for Jack Williams, 2 for Yongi, 1 for Hopper. Kicks is going 3 for the fullback, 2 for the captain, and 1 for Jack Williams. Pete T, 3 for Yongi, 2 for Kelmer, 1 for Hopgood. We're seeing a bit of a trend here. Deb goes 3 for the Fox on the milestone game there. 2 for Moses' boot, and 1 goes to Yongi, Williams, Walker, and Propgood. Yeah, a bit of love being shared around there, Deb. I like that. Dave Oz says 3 for Yongi, 2 for Hopgood, 1 for Williams. Azara emerging as a bit of a favourite here for the 3 points, it looks like. Sean Cronin also saying 3 for Yongi, 2 for Junior, 1 for the Parker and Propgood. Jamie, 3 for Yongi, 2 for Moses' boot, 1 for Propgood or Williams, but he will give it to Jermaine. Damien says 3 for Yongi, 2 for Hopgood, 1 for Williams. Seb going 3 for Yongi, 2 for Hopgood, 1 for Junior, but Moses gets a special award for being Mitchell Moses again. Yeah, that's a pretty good caveat there, Seb, and that's certainly something that I ascribe to when it comes to giving points. Mitch is almost a cheat code for the 3-2-1, isn't he? Rachel goes 3 for Yongi, 2 for Hopgood, 1 for Junior. Michael Burns saying 3 for Yongi, 2 for Hopgood, 1 for Williams. Dave going 3 for Yongi, 2 for Williams, 1 for Lomax. Yeah, Lomax had some outstanding catches and 240 metres on the ground. He just accumulates those metres, like, and you don't really even realise it. But among the backs, Adokar 190, Yongi 185, and then Lomax 240. So huge efforts there from those 3 backs. We got Riverside and Phillip both going for a Yongi 3, but Riverside says 2 for Jack Williams, whereas Phillip says 2 for Hopgood, 1 for Smith for Riverside, and 1 for Moses for Phillip. Lucian Simon saying Yongi 3, Moses 2, Hopgood 1. Aussie going 3 for Yongi, Moses 2, and 1 for Junior. So, yeah, I think Yongi pretty clearly manned the match based on the 3-2-1s, but then a pretty wide spread there for the 2-on-1s.
I think that's probably a measure of the overall strong performance of the team today, when people start to really spread those the 2-and-1 points. John, I can't argue with the 3 points for Yongi. It was just such a fine effort in what was often a pressure cooker. The way he had those bombs were coming down.
Yeah, they really went after him with the aerial contests. And again, barring that one quote-unquote controversial moment, which was not a controversy, he was so clean under the high ball, timed his jumps beautifully, clean set of hands. Just a really good game. I mean, he popped up a couple of times in support, as you want every young fullback to be doing, showed his pace. Didn't get many opportunities to play make in terms of attacking down the edges, but the Eels adapted and they adjusted, and so did he. Played a more traditional fullback role and did a fantastic job doing it. So I think 3 points is very fair. And do I want to zag where everyone's zigging? I suppose you could go somewhere else, but I think, the consensus is Yongi for 3 points, mate.
Yeah. I went 2 points for Hopgood. Just a really, really good performance in the middle. And I'm going 1 point for Junior. I could almost go 1 point for him for that pass alone.
There's a couple of players that had just moments, and we talked about obviously Kelmer and Junior. The other one too that we haven't mentioned, I'm not sure if chat commented on it, but Mitchell Moses absolutely sunned. Was it Harris Tavita? Absolutely gave him the old father beatdown, father-son belting in the corner there, where he just picked him up and tossed him the touch in the first half. And that was one of the other key moments in the game, obviously. I will go 2 points Lomax, 1 point Hopgood, and absolute B's appendage between the two of them there. And then honourable mentions across the park. I mean, Adokar was fantastic in his milestone game. Junior, fantastic. Kelmer, awesome. Jack had a couple of issues defensively down that left edge with Lekalasima, but was also smashing blokes too. Had a great game. We haven't even mentioned Dylan Walker. Matt Dury and Charlie Garmer were great off the bench. I think Dury had one drop ball and a concussion to worry about, but both went over 100 metres. Both had some great defence. So, honourable mentions across the park. And your 3-2-1s could be any measure of players this week.
John, this is insane. Jermaine Hopgood, 61 tackles.
Yeah, one missed, one ineffective. Yeah. So you got Hopgood on the defensive side and Lomax on the offensive production side, 24 carries, 240 metres, and a number of really important takes in the air as well. So, look, I just look at what they're doing, and those two didn't do the sexy things in a game that featured some really, really outstanding moments. But the workload on either side of the ball for the two of them there is what swayed me for the 2-1. And there was a couple other players that could have easily featured, but such is a tight win.
John, can we maybe also do a bit of a shout out to Blair Mills and the Eels high performance team? Because what we've seen is the Eels finish so strongly in games where there's every reason for them to be wilting, where they haven't had the ball, like today, the number of tackles that they've made, and to hold on in those games, the conditioning of the Eels, the way that they've been prepared this year, they'll have to give a shout out to the team there. I wish Blair Mills all the best in his return to New Zealand. That's really been a family decision for him. But, he's done a great job this year, John.
Yeah. Blair, if the news is right about the was it Matty Kay? Did I say what his name was?
Yeah.
About the Newcastle trainer coming on board, he is inheriting a very fit and firing squad. So he'll be very happy with what he's going to be getting, and hopefully he can maintain the high standards that Blair and company, because obviously it's not a single man show in terms of athletic conditioning, but obviously overseen by Blair, and take the Eels to the same or similar level.
Yeah, absolutely. John, any final questions or comments before we wrap this up?
Yeah, a bit more discourse about the officiating. Some love for the defensive improvement of Jermaine Hopgood in the second half of the season. And then, a lot of people just sort of talking about the various players that impressed them. And I think that's a great way to sign off here, because the Eels, to a man, were pretty good tonight. And a chance to finish out the season now in awesome form. 3 in a row beckons, 10 wins beckons. And hopefully a near sold-out crowd.
John, #Phil Combank.
Yes. Well, and that probably needs some context too, because when you're going to fill the Combank, it could mean something different.
Yes.
But Philip asked, was Dury a Cat 1? I don't recall commentary saying anything about Dury's diagnosis. It was a pretty rough concussion, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was Cat 1. If that's the case, then you're going to have a spot on the bench. Maybe that opens the way for someone like Dylan Brown, I suppose, to get a spot on the bench.
That's probably the final talking point, John. I'd like to see Dylan get a farewell game.
Yeah, even if it's off the bench, but you could even start him in the centres. I wouldn't be upset either way. Sean Russell was awesome tonight, and certainly the centre is now his position to lose. But he's I'm just trying to think. Yeah, like where he's starting on the bench, I'm happy for Deal to get the farewell game. Paul wants us to get Goal on. We've spoken about getting him on before. He's a busy man though, so we'll try and get him on the podcast at some point. But he probably doesn't have the luxury of time that we have post game to be on. So if we can get him,
that might be the same person that sent a message that we're getting stale, John, and that we actually need Goal on.
That's why we rotate the tertiary guests on. Exactly. We know that it's a old-fashioned comedy act here between me and Sixties, and you need a bit of fresh blood. But we would like to have Goal on. He's been part of the TCT setup for years, and we always have a blast talking footy with Goal. But like I said, busy man, so we don't want to impose on him.
Yeah, one of the things that people may or may not realise is that when you do a podcast, it's a matter of availability. Are people available straight after the game? That's that sort of scenario. So John and I have our routines worked out so that we're always available immediately after the games to be able to do an instant reaction podcast. It's literally just after full time, whether it's a home game or an away game. We make the situation work for us. So yeah, and it's basically why you haven't seen Chris Ricketts on the news podcast recently. We want Chris on every week, but he's now living in America rather than in Austria. And the time difference means that when we go live with the news podcast, it's like 4:30 a.m. where he lives in America. So
oh no, Paul, we're not like trying to attack you for it. We're just adding context.
Yeah,
We're not upset if you're saying you'd love to have gone. We'd love to have gone too.
We had a bit of a laugh about
I'm sorry if it came across like we're going after you for it, mate. No,
yeah.
we understood you didn't mean any ill will by saying you'd love to have gone.
That's fine, Paul. It really is. We don't mind people having a shot. We don't. And besides, I am old and stale.
Sorry. Yeah.
New blood working with him.
Did not mean that as a negative in the least, mate. Don't worry about that. Yeah, I think it's a good place to wrap it up there. We will certainly try and get Goal on at some point on the show for 100%. Like I said, very good mate of ours and does some fantastic content on the site. A lot of people have fun with his post-game grades, and I imagine it's going to be a fun grades tonight as well, or tomorrow when they get up. Yeah, and we'll be back on Tuesday with the NRL News and Parramatta podcast, or the Parramatta Team West podcast. Final Team West Tuesday of the regular season for the NRL, although we still have the Flag and Cup pushing into the finals, and the NRLW and Harvey Women's Cup still got a couple of regular season rounds left too. So not done with the news podcast by any measure.
And again, hashtag Phil Combag Stadium. Let's see everyone there. Let's get a sellout for this week to farewell the season and basically to say we're looking forward to 2026.
Yep.
So, again, thank you to everyone that's joined us live. Thank you to anyone that's then listening to this in delay. No matter what platform you watch or listen to it on, give us a like and subscribe. That would be much appreciated. Thank you to our sponsors, Star Partners Real Estate, Auburn, Narellan and Parramatta, and of course the home of the Eels, Parramatta Leagues Club. And if you want to jump on as a sponsor in 2026, just reach out to us during the final series or in the early weeks of the off season, and we'd be more than happy to talk to you about a package that could suit you. Remember, the Cumberland Throw is the place that you go to for all grades of Parramatta Eels coverage. When we talk about being blue and gold, we mean blue and gold right across the grades. So stick with us, and we look forward to next week building towards that sellout at CommBank Stadium and the Eels finishing with another win to go 10 wins for the season. Thank you, everyone. And as I always say, go you mighty Eels.